What is up, male and females? I hope that you are doing pretty well. Life has been a bit challenging, been dealing with a lot of personal stuff, making some adjustments for the future, but all said, everything is going pretty fantastic. And I wanted to show off kind of what I recently got in my collection, the Steam Deck. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you know what a Steam Deck is, and it's basically the taking the idea of the Switch and, in my opinion, perfecting it. The thing about the Switch and what made it so successful was its portability. Is the fact that I could take Skyrim on the Switch to go anywhere I wanted to, and it's a great console. Portable consoles have always been a big appeal and very successful. You know, dating back from when I was younger, I had a Game Boy, a DS, I had 3DS, I had a Vita. Like, portable gaming is awesome, but the problem with a lot of portable gaming is not to say the games aren't great. There's tons of games that were made for the DS, for instance, that were fantastic, or the 3DS. But a lot of times they're held back by their technical capability. For instance, Sonic Generations that came out on the PS3 and Xbox 360 also came out on the 3DS. And while it's a fantastic port, I think the 3DS version is great. You can definitely tell the limitations based on the hardware. But the cool thing about the Steam Deck is that this is basically a portable gaming console that can run all my Steam games and so much more. And it's not held back by, there's technical limitations, and we'll talk about that. But the limitations that were once there for portable gaming are not there. Now, the Steam Deck is not cheap by any means, and I actually got the Steam Deck here for $100. Now, you may be like, oh, special. Whose hands did you shake with to get something for $100? Did you shake Satan's hand? No, I didn't do that. Instead, I shook a guy's hand named Lucas. And when I was talking to him yesterday, he said that he had the Steam Deck. It's the LCD version. It had like 520 gigabytes or something like that on it. And basically, the A and the X buttons stopped working. And so instead of fixing it, he bought one of the OLED models, and was gonna sell this to me for $100 and thought I could maybe fix it. And I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was like, well, maybe I'm about to buy a busted system for $100. But compared to spending the minimum, which is $400 for the LCD with that much gigabyte that I could easily extend the storage. And honestly, on the OLED, besides from a better battery and some small little improvements, it's not like a huge improvement over the LCD. And if you're gaming on a handheld on like this, the expectation is you're not going to get the same performance on like a PC monster like I have, where I can run like Cyberpunk 2077 at 4K 60 FPS. The expectation is I'm getting a device here that can run most games between maybe 45 to 60 FPS at medium to high settings, depending on the game. I was running Marvel Rivals pretty darn well at high settings at 60 FPS. Now, I took some time with the help of my friend Josh, and we took this apart uh, using a iFixit article that worked perfectly well. And what we found was there's this small piece of bacon somehow lodged between the. Let me just show you. Like, I don't know how like somehow it was like lodged right here when we found it. It was big enough where like the buttons just weren't working, and we were able to get the controller basically fully working. So it's a fully functional Steam Deck that I only bought for $100. One of the best investments I made into gaming recently, and I can safely say that I can play any of my PC games. I'm gonna get really nervous. I leave that sitting right there, but I can play most of 90 to 95% of my Steam library on this thing very comfortably, and I'm not really playing it more than from what I've seen since I've had it, a couple hours at a time, maybe pushing an hour and 30 minutes. And there's a very just much more portability. Now, if you know anything about me as a gamer, is I recently became huge into game preservation, emulation, and basically making sure that the medium that I love so much, I can play the games I buy forever, no matter what happens. Because the thing with hardware is that it's gonna fail us. Those discs that the PS2 games that I have are going to fail one day. So being able to legally, within my right as somebody who owns the physical, like PS2, the physical Nintendo Switch, I can mod it and back up in any way I seem please, and is fully within my right as a consumer to do. And as I got more into emulation, I found this nifty tool that I talked about before called EmuDeck. So if you don't know what EmuDeck is, it's basically a giant compiler of all the best emulators that you can find. You got your Dolphins, your Ryujinx, your PSX 1, 2, RCPS 3, and it basically gives you a full-on user interface to basically combine and configure all in one setting without having to go to each um, thing to configure it. Now, there be granted, when it comes to stuff like the PS2, the Switch, you do need to configure your BIOSes, which is not that hard to do, especially if you have the files and you know what you're doing. There's plenty of YouTube tutorials on there. But literally, it took me less than like 30 minutes to get my PC running up where I can quickly dump my game files and play them. And the cool thing with the EmuDeck is that it's fully integrated into Steam. Let me show you what I'm talking about. As you see here, I have Super Mario 64 under my Nintendo 64 emulator tab. I have my GameCube stuff. I can boot up all these games. It runs under Steam, so I can have some of the cool features that come with Steam, like the FPS stuff. And I could shift tab to communicate with my friends. These are, for the most part, all games that I own. And let me tell you what I mean by that. When it comes to the Nintendo Switch, the PS2 in particular, is that you can't just boot up the emulator and have it working. You have to have the BIOS file that also goes with it. And so what I do with my PS2 and my Switch is I actually modded them so I can install homebrew applications, let me pull the files and backup games and dump them onto a USB that I then plugged into my computer to be able to emulate these games. There is a weird kind of gray area when it comes to emulation. Emulation itself, using the emulation software, whether it be Ryujinx, the PSX2, is not illegal. That software is not illegal. What is illegal in a giant gray area is when it comes to piracy. When it comes like the Switch, Nintendo really has the lawyers that will take you out back and shoot you. In fact, not even do that. They won't give you the courtesy. They'll just randomly put a red dot and shoot you in the face before you even get the chance. When it comes to protecting their assets. Now, when it comes to like Nintendo GameCube and Nintendo 64 games in particular, there's a bit more of a gray area where you cannot, in a healthy way, financially, go out to the store and buy these. A lot of times, if you're buying older consoles or older games, you're at the mercy of people who are upcharging these games at a ridiculous price. In the name of game preservation, I would actually like to get a Nintendo 64 and get my Wii and my Nintendo GameCube back, because I actually do own all the games that are currently stored in my grandparents' shed legally, but there's not like a legal way to buy these Nintendo GameCube games, especially like Harry Potter: The Chamber of Secrets. As far as my knowledge, there's no actual way to buy a PC version or an updated version that's on the PS5 or Xbox Series X. So there comes some gray area where even if like I went out to eBay and I bought this game, I'm not even funding developers. I'm funding somebody who wants to charge me an arm and a leg. And it's just really cool. It's very easy to configure, and if you're doing it ethically correct, like again, I don't condone piracy, but you use Google, you can figure some stuff out pretty quickly. But when it comes to emulation, I tried doing everything legit, which is why I have my Switch modded and homebrewed. It's why I had my PS2. I did that to mod and homebrew it, because I have easy access to the hardware. And so try doing it ethically. But why am I talking about this when it comes to the Steam Deck? I should be talking about my Steam library and how like I can boot up. Let's see here, just a random game. Halo Master Chief Collection, for instance, works perfectly within the Linux distribution with Proton. I can play it here and quickly get out of it, go to bed, and pull it up on my Steam Deck and start exactly where I left off. Well, emulation has come a long way on to make it easier on Linux and the Steam OS. With the same exact process that I just showed you on the computer, you can easily, and I spent a good chunk of today doing this, is I took all my files that I had on my computer, and I have a 2 terabyte storage within the cloud, and through Google. And I spent some time doing it 2 ways, because doing one way or the other was going to take too long, where I was downloading my BIOS files and my game files and putting them on the Switch. Now, I do need to upgrade the storage because eventually I'm going to be like, well, crap, I can't do anymore. But I am happy to say that it was just as easy setting it up on the Steam Deck here as it was like on there. And if you don't believe me, like let's just go to my let's just go here. We're gonna go to collections. Oh, collections. So my collections, and I'm going to select Nintendo GameCube, for instance. And let's just say I wanted to boot up Harry Potter. I just hit play, and look at that. From Steam, I am booting up Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets from GameCube. And I can easily pull up the emulator if I need to make some changes. But for the most part, like I said, EmuDeck takes care of all that for you. So it's booting up now. Works perfect. And the cool thing is because it's running through Steam, I still have all my Steam options that I need to. I can configure all kinds of crazy things like the brightness and stuff like that. And it adds a level of just convenience. And the best part is, let's say like I played some Harry Potter in the Chamber of Secrets, which I used to speedrun. I'm very good at this game. I just power it off. It's turned off. It goes into hibernation, and a couple hours later, like, oh, I wanted to play it. Turn it right back on, and it's exactly where I left off. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, that sounds great, but like, emulation doesn't necessarily, even if you're running through Steam, doesn't have the Steam cloud. And you may be right about that. But EmuDeck has this pretty cool thing, and there's two different options. Now, there is kind of the little inconvenient way, but works perfectly fine, and then the very convenient way, which costs $3 a month because of their Patreon. I actually do that. But let's say you didn't want to pay any money. You can actually link your OneDrive, your Google Drive, really anything will work. And you can hit a button, it's literally just a button, and it will send everything to a Google Drive folder of your choice, or it creates one, I can't remember. And then when you're on your Steam Deck, all you have to do is get out into desktop mode and go to EmuDeck, open it up, and just click download the file, and it's very instantaneous depending on your network speed. But save files aren't that big anyways. And then you can just continue on playing exactly as you are. Or you pay the $3 a month. I kid you not, it's like magic. It automatically syncs just like the Steam cloud. Like it just the second you save somewhere in the game, it automatically syncs it. You still have to use your Google Drive account, but like it's dang near instantaneous. It's one less button I have to press, and it's pretty fantastic. I was playing some Tears of the Kingdom earlier, and I was amazed how quickly I could just go from the PC in front of me to go into the bathroom and playing it on this and continue exactly where I left off. Now, you may also be like, well, Spectral, you can't play every game. You can't play Call of Duty. You can't play Fortnite. You can't play Rainbow Six Siege, which is all games that I actually play. And I run into this problem all the time because I am a Linux user. I have to switch shop between Linux and Windows if I want to play certain games or use certain hardware. It's a sacrifice that I make, but on the Steam Deck, I'm not installing Windows on this thing. I'm sorry, Windows is not meant for handheld gaming, which is why we're seeing like Lenovo Legion series now actually start coming out with Steam Deck or Steam OS variations. Steam OS is designed to be portable. The thing about Linux is you can make it any way you want, and this thing works fantastic. Even as a desktop experience, if I wanted to plug my docking station into here and plug into an HDMI cable, I can use that and make this basically a PC machine. Pretty fantastic. So what if I can't play those like 4 games out of like the other hundreds of games and emulation games that I have? The fact that we come to a point in like technology where I can play all my emulator games. I can play the Guardians of the Galaxy game that came out a few years ago. I've been playing through that. I can play God of War. I can play Marvel Rivals. I can play, gosh, dang near almost anything thanks to Proton and Valve being such cool homies. And have it to go on the experience. And yeah, sure, I can't play at the highest settings, but I'm playing it portably. I'm willing to make some sacrifice. So I highly recommend is that if you're looking to get a handheld device and you're primarily a PC gamer and you have a large PC library, this is a very, very comfortable thing to play. Like, just holding this is more comfortable than you can imagine, and it's more comfortable than holding a Switch. It just fits in your hands, and it's big enough where a child can hold this, you can hold it. Like, it's truly fantastic. And the repair process, let's say if you need to get the buttons replaced, is very cheap and very simple. It took no time at all to really figure out what the heck we were doing. But if I haven't convinced you enough on the Steam Deck, I don't think anything else is going to convince you. But if you're looking to get in the world of handheld gaming, because this is only getting better, Valve is only going to continue updating Steam OS, having it come out to other handhelds. It's only going to continue to get better and better. And what excites me about the Nintendo Switch 2 is because I'm assuming, I could be wrong, it's not going to be that hard to emulate it as well. I can't wait to buy Switch 2 and emulate Switch 2 games on this thing. And for the price I got it, pretty darn good. But that's going to cut it for here. If you have a Steam Deck, let me know what you think about it because I love it. If you haven't got a Steam Deck, are you going to get one? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out, homies.